Now, tip number one is to use a repricer or repricing software. Repricers are a complete game changer. They allow you to always be competing for the buy box on a listing which there are maybe multiple or a bunch of competitors on that actual listing, okay? And keep in mind too that the buy box is really where a majority of the buyers go on Amazon and the majority of the sales come from. Now, I fought this for so long, but as soon as I started to use a repricer, my sales really rose dramatically with a lot less effort on my part. Now, there are several repricers you can look into using for Amazon FBA. Two of my favorite are Reprice It and Be Cool, and those are two that I recommend that you look into. Now, there's also a lot less sophisticated one that does come in Amazon Seller Central. Now, there are some issues with that. I've noticed that sometimes it plays around with your lowest your lowest price that you can kind of set, so that can kind of be frustrating if you're selling like used books or something that's like really low value, or if you drive the buy box price all the way down. So keep that in mind. You can play around with that. If you're really looking for a low cost one where you don't have to spend money initially to get in, because obviously that one is free. To get from Seller Central, what you want to do is you want to go into pricing and then make sure they go over to the automate pricing thing under that tab, then create a new rule, then set your desired outcome, rule parameters, and which listings you want it to actually apply to. If I could give you one tip when you're doing wholesale or arbitrage, or investing in really any products on Amazon that compete with other sellers within that actual listing, it would be to invest in repricing software. Tip number two now is to do more product research ahead of time. That means before you buy the product. Quite often we can get caught up in potential profit margin or being the first to market sometimes if you're doing wholesale, that we kind of purchase a product prematurely without doing adequate research that's necessary. Then it sits in our inventory for a lot longer than we expected before it sells, or the margin drops dramatically. The truth is, if you spent just 10 more minutes per product doing a little bit of research on maybe your competitors, or checking how many units your competitors actually have for that actual product, or making sure that you're profitable with an FBA calculator, or checking the sales velocity specifically of a product, or this is a big one too, checking that you can even sell it. Yes, a lot of people forget to even check if they're able to sell it, or they actually have to request approval. So that's a big one. Now, for higher margins with less time invested, this is really what you want to do ahead of time. Don't waste time returning your items that you can't sell or getting stuck with inventory because you didn't do your product research. Don't take on unexpected losses on products that you guessed on. You want to be sure. Now, it's super simple to check all those things too. You can do simple product research on your competitors with a Google Chrome plugin called Online Seller Addon. Now, this is a simple one that you can install right from the Google Chrome store. You can check the sales velocity of a product as well, or the potential sales velocity of a product that you're looking into with just the click of a button with the Jungle Scout Chrome extension. Now, you can run the numbers on a potential FBA margin too, using the FBA calculator that Amazon provides you and simply Googling the FBA calculator on Amazon, or you can download yet another Google Chrome plugin that I recommend called AMZ Scout FBA Calculator. Perhaps the simplest one of all of these though is just to make sure that you're checking the product's ASIN in your Seller Central to make sure that you are able to sell it too. So when you go to a product and you see that product you're interested in, make sure to do a little bit. We're not sitting here doing like 30 minutes of product research, okay? Make sure to do a little bit of extra research pre-purchase. That way you can be confident that you're gonna stay profitable, that it will sell quickly, and that your competitors won't be too much of a problem for you. Moving on to tip number 3 now, and that would be to ship your products into FBA. Now, fulfillment by Amazon is a huge game changer for most sellers. It allows you to tap into Amazon's distribution network, which is huge, their warehouse storage, their employees' time, and their customer service. Now, all of that is huge for you as a third-party seller because it means that it basically means less time and less trips to the post office, less time dealing with customers, etc., etc. They have all the infrastructure built in there for you, so you might as well tap into it. That means that all you have to do is focus on sourcing profitable products, then shipping them into FBA, and then letting Amazon do all the work for you. The most important reason that you want to ship into FBA though, right, is not actually because they're going to fulfill everything for you, although all that stuff is a nice bonus, right? It's obviously the fact that you don't have to deal with customers or returns or any labeling or anything like that, right? They're going to do all that for you for the most part. But the most important thing is because when your products go into FBA, they become Prime eligible for shipping to Amazon customers. Now that is a complete game changer, and it means your customers will get free shipping when they purchase your products, and they'll get them in a day or two max. Now you might be sitting there saying, awesome, thanks for the tips, but how does that help me sell more on Amazon? Simple. The two main things, as we know, that go into winning the buy box on Amazon are your listing price and your availability to the customer. That means by shipping your products into FBA, well, you'll be able to win the buy box at a higher price point than you would otherwise if you didn't. So you'll sell more of your units. Now, if you don't want to ship into FBA for some reason, I understand some people don't, that's a pushback that I get every once in a while, what I would recommend that you look into is Seller Fulfilled Prime and applying for that. Now, I know that they're not accepting applications currently at the time of recording this video because I've applied and I'm still waiting for them, to hear back from them. That said, you can apply now and maybe a month or two out, you can get accepted for that. Now, at the very least, you should be offering free shipping as a merchant if you're merchant fulfilling your orders, okay? The way that you can do that is by making sure that you're on the professional seller plan. A lot of people ask, I can't see it. Well, the reason being for a lot of people is you're in the individual seller plan and you need to upgrade to a professional seller plan. Then you want to create a new shipping template in Seller Central and simply apply that shipping template to all your current products or all your SKUs or products that you want it to apply to, okay? So just like the repricer in Amazon, you're gonna apply that to your actual specific products or just select it for all of them. Tip number 4 to sell more on Amazon now is to actually think about sharing the buy box. Now, when most people, when they add a product onto a listing, right? And they think, hey, I'm just gonna, just list mine a little bit under, maybe like a cent under the buy box price. That way I can, undercut the market, get the buy box and sell mine really quickly for a profit. And that can work sometimes. The issue with that strategy with undercutting the buy box is that most sellers, like we talked about before in tip number 1, have repricing software. So by listing your product below other sellers, all that's really gonna do is it's gonna start rat race to the bottom pricing between you and their software, right? It's not, a lot of times, it's not even the other seller sitting there clicking, which you might think, oh, I'm gonna beat this person every 10 minutes. And you think, oh, I'll just be more on top of it than them and I'll win the buy box at one point. It's really you versus their software, which is automated, and that's a lose-lose for everyone. In that scenario, nobody wins. So sometimes, not always, but sometimes it's better to simply match the buy box price, share the buy box with the other sellers, because then that buy box will rotate between everyone with the lowest price, obviously assuming that your deliverability to the customer is the same, okay? And then everybody's gonna sell their products at a higher price, even if it takes slightly longer, and everybody wins. Now, the final tip is a little bit, out of the ordinary for a video like this, and that is to not just sell on Amazon, okay? Now, while this video is clearly about how to sell more on Amazon, you should also think about looking outside of it for other marketplaces to sell on. Expanding to other marketplaces can help your bottom line, but it can also give you more important techniques to then transfer back to Amazon to get more sales on there, right? It's gonna give you different ideas, different innovative strategies, a different experience, but perhaps more importantly than anything, it's gonna give you a different customer that you might not have otherwise have access to on, just Amazon specifically. Now, I recommend that you look into selling on eBay, look into selling on Poshmark, and look into selling on Mercari in addition to Amazon. They all have their benefits and they all bring different things to the table. You might just find, yes, you might just find that you gain access to, a completely different customer than you would only on Amazon, like I said before. Now, this will increase your customers. It will increase your product's exposure, which is the name of the game, obviously, and how you're going to sell more, and ultimately allow your products to sell faster overall. One of my favorite ways to sell outside of Amazon on all of these is by using multi-channel listing software. Now, there's a bunch of these out there, but one that I highly recommend looking into is List Perfectly. List Perfectly is a complete game changer, and multi-channel listing software, just like List Perfectly, will save you ridiculous amounts of time by allowing you to list on every single platform at once, right? So you're not sitting there listing on Poshmark, then listing on Mercari, then listing on eBay, and wasting about 2 to 3 minutes each time for every product, whatever that is, or even a minute every time. Instead, for those of you that are trying to grow your e-commerce sales, instead, what you want to do is you want to go to List Perfectly, and I think the cheapest plan is like $9.99 a month, so it saves you a ridiculous amount of time. It's going to pay for itself 10 times over. I'm not affiliated with List Perfectly at all. I'm just recommending you what works for me anecdotally. And then you literally list it once and it disperses it across all the platforms overall. So there you have it, guys. 5 tips to sell more units on Amazon this Q4.